Hello, everyone. We are back. It's been, I think, about 2 weeks since we last ran into you guys. We were talking about the Cannes Film Festival, everything that happened there. Um, and it's June, so I don't think there's a better time of year to give more Oscar predictions for the Oscars happening in March of 2025. Um, I've seen, it's lots of people doing acting predictions. I thought we would hop on that train. I wish we did it a little earlier because there were some trains that were unpopular to be hopped on that are now becoming popular to be hopped on. But we'll get into that in a second. Um, so yeah, we're doing Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor, and Supporting Actress today. We're going to talk about all that. Lots of people in contention for all of those categories who could potentially be nominated, all that stuff. Before we hop into those categories, Anthony, any thoughts overall on the acting race this year?
Yeah, just looking at the people we have in contention, it's a really interesting group. I feel that we don't tend to see some of these names too often. So that's exciting to me because I feel like we will likely get new speeches from people that we don't tend to hear from. But also
Mhm.
just looking at the season, the type of roles that we're going to be talking about, I think it's fun for us and fun for us film fans because we're not talking about the same types of characters, the same types of performances. So that really excites me. In particular, one that I'm sure you're going to be sounding the alarm for once we get to it.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
Very
Yeah,
unique performance.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think there's a lot of people in the conversation this year that aren't usually. So then that's interesting for me because I was then looking. Okay, so who are our anchors? Who are the
Mhm.
the people that we always see that we can lean on? Because if not, this might be a very
Lots of fresh faces.
fresh faces, both of young talent, but also older
Mhm.
talent that might not have gotten their due. I mean, we're talking,
Yeah,
of course, about the late great Donald Sutherland today, who passed, and it's crazy to think that he never got nominated for an Academy Award, despite fantastic performances in Clute and
yeah.
Ordinary People, and of course, we all know him as President Snow. So it's exciting when actors that really deserve this sort of honor because of their incredible work, but also their individual performances late in their career do get that honor. So I'm sure we'll be talking
Mhm.
about people like that as well this year.
We shall for sure. I think it'll be an interesting year. I think it'll be different from definitely last year at least. And hello to everyone joining us. Thank you for joining us. Dakota Johnson from Adam Webb. I don't know about that. Okay, without further ado, let us get into our acting predictions. A little preview, some faces down there. Let us start. I forget if I started with actor or actress. Let's see. I started with actress. Okay, so the numbers aren't there. I should fix
Real
that.
quick, by the way,
Um,
did you see the news that the Academy is apparently exploring the idea of gender neutral acting categories?
Oh, no. Is
I
that
saw that
what
today.
was that this morning?
That was
Oh,
this morning. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's years down the line. I mean, let's see how long it takes them to introduce a new category. They announced it like 3 years before. So we'll see. But the decade might not be out before maybe that changes. Well, I think they're going to see whether there is a gender that gets overrepresented if they do that. So I imagine they
test
might
it
be doing
out.
experiments throughout the next couple of years and seeing, a control group. Like if you had to do it, if you had to do gender neutral, who would you nominate? Who would you win?
Mhm,
So we'll see. It should be interesting. Anyway, best
mhm.
actress.
So as I was speaking on a few weeks ago, when pretty much no one else, I think the only other person who I saw who was doing early predictions who had Nightbitch and believed in it in Best Picture was Film Drunk, so shout out to him. Pretty much everyone else wasn't super high on believing it. And then Searchlight keeps prioritizing it. Amy Adams is now getting a TIFF Tribute Award at this upcoming TIFF Film Festival, which if you look at the past recipients of that award, I think it was Joaquin Phoenix who won for Joker, Anthony Hopkins who won for The Father, Jessica Chastain who won for Eyes of Tammy Faye, Brendan Fraser who won for The Whale, Coleman Domingo got it last year for Sing Sing, so we'll see with that. And then Amy Adams, so that's a pretty good track record. And as we've talked about with Emma Stone last year, Searchlight Pictures has won 5 of the last 7 Best Actress winners. So they're pretty good at campaigning for this category. And clearly, based off of everything they put out, this is their big, I think, film push in general, but also their big actress push this year. It's a whole Amy Adams showcase. It's all about her. She's a mom who is going through some motherhood, like personal issues, and issues with I don't know if it's like postpartum depression or stuff, but she thinks she's turning into a dog pretty much is what hence the title Night Bitch. Bitch in the dog sense. And what was I going to say? Oh, pretty much. If you think that's too weird, I would just say look at the last two Best Actress winners and then see how weird those movies were. So yeah, I think it'll be pretty transformative. I think it'll be an Amy Adams showcase. We can go by these one by one, I guess, down the list. So yeah, I feel pretty good about it. Seems like lots of people are feeling pretty good about it now, which is why I wish we did a little earlier. But yeah, Amy Adams for Night Bitch. Kind of like an Amy Adams comeback a little bit too, considering the films she's been in recently. I think this will hopefully be a little bit of a comeback for her. Any
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's her most prestigious. If the movie turns out, with that
It's
wacky premise,
Mariel Heller. I feel
it could
pretty good.
any place. But I think if it is received well, it would be her most prestigious film since Vice, I feel, in 2018, which was her last Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Yeah, I'm starting to feel this as well. I think that the TIFF tribute performance, that award,
Yeah.
helps because I think it's solidifying that this is something to take seriously. I also think what is going to help her is that if the movie is well received, it's such an out there performance that it
Hmm.
will make people see that this stands above the pack from the rest of her filmography. I think what she fell into with films like American Hustle and Vice, is that these weren't the ones that were going to get her the win. I think they were a little too low energy as far as like a campaign, um, as far as the strategy with the campaign or just the role themselves. They didn't have the energy or the electricity around them to give them an Oscar. And I think this role definitely does, which I think helps. It's unlike anything she's ever done. It's unlike probably what most actors have ever done. And it has a prime release date. I think this is going to bode very well for her. I also think because a lot of her competition are Academy Award winners. Angelina Jolie has already won for Girl
Hmm.
Interrupted. Lady Gaga, who you have on the list, has won an Oscar for Best
She
Original Song.
has.
So
Hmm.
I do think that when you're looking at this list, I tend to think that if Amy Adams is as respected as people, I certainly at the beginning of the 2010s seemed to think
Yeah.
she was, it makes sense that this feels like a Jessica Chastain sort of narrative of this is somebody who deserves to have an Oscar, and this is maybe the showiest performance of the group and is deserving of the honor. So I also have Amy Adams as number one,
Oh,
and
nice.
so we're in agreement there. I think what I just needed was this movie to be kind of like respected, which I didn't know
Hmm.
because Ariel Heller's films also kind of were more pushed out of like they weren't taken as seriously as other contenders. I mean, Beautiful Day in the
Yeah.
Neighborhood did not make it to Best Picture. Can You Ever Forgive Me didn't make it to Best Picture, and I thought that was a very worthy film. So
Hmm.
now that it seems that this is maybe getting some industry heat with the TIFF, award, or at least
Yeah.
Amy Adams is, that helps. And also, it's going to be very concentrated. I think they're going to focus very much on Amy Adams, or not.
Hmm.
They're going to try and make this an all-around player. If it does, that's a
No.
benefit. But I think they have very specific goals, very similar to Brendan Fraser in The Whale, which was another
Yeah.
role that if you heard it, just like this one, is out there, bonkers, crazy. But once you see it, if you're going to empathetically connect with the character, that's all she needs. And I think she's the number one right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't read the book, but I've pretty much read a very long summary of the book. It's one of those performances, lead performances where she is the movie. It's like really, I mean, her husband, like that's the main issue that she deals with the film, is away at work for long periods of time. So it's just her and her child. So yeah, I think it'll definitely be a showcase for Amy Adams. It seems like some people agree. Ayush has the same top seven in the same order. Wow. Amy Adams or Jolie. It is a type top six. Thank you, Basil. I think a few weeks ago you would have been in the majority thinking that she's not winning or might not even be nominated. But I think this TIFF Tribute Award has really changed a lot of people's minds. Moving down now to number two, who I think could win, just won a Tony
Yeah.
recently. Angelina Jolie for Maria. She's playing Maria Callas, the opera singer, I believe in her final days before she passes away, I think, in France. It's the Pablo. Oh, yeah, she's dead, guys. Sorry. History spoiler. It's
Not Angelina Jolie. She
yeah, no, thank God,
live,
thank God.
looking
We
stunning
need to
as
give her
always.
another Oscar. But yeah, she plays Maria Callas, and it's the finisher in the Pablo Larraín famous troubled historical women trilogy. And his past two entries in that both got nominated in Best Actress. I think she will have a benefit compared to the other two because Maria Callas is not as like publicly known and established as a Princess Diana or a Jackie Kennedy. So I think that kind of, especially in the Princess Diana case, I think maybe held some people back from liking the film as much, considering the portrayal and how much we know about her. I don't think people know nearly as much about Maria Callas, so I think that could help her. I think she'll be nominated. She could win. We'll have to see. But what do you think?
I think she will get nominated. I think we have to see the film. I think the issue that the Pablo Larraín movies have, I feel, what stopped Natalie Portman from winning for Jackie, which was a remarkable performance, and of course
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart with Spencer, is I just think they don't have that wow factor. I think when you hear about these movies, they're like, oh, of course, this will be a great film and we'll go see it. But they don't have that surprise factor that, like, you look to Michelle Yeoh versus Cate Blanchett in 2022. I think the surprise factor helped Michelle Yeoh, setting aside the
Mhm.
fact that then it would be an historic win and Cate Blanchett had already won, which,
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie already has won.
Hmm.
When you hear the idea when you hear that she's going to play this role, it's not like earth shattering in the way that Amy Adams is, that in the way that,
Yeah.
Mikey Madison is a discovery that might be really surprising, or even like Lady Gaga is going to be like, I think is going to shake you, to your core, the way that Joaquin Phoenix did for the same character essentially. So that's
Yeah.
my issue with Jolie, is that I think people know that she's capable of this. I think she would have to be just Cillian Murphy level of extraordinary in a biopic performance to get people
Hmm.
to, want to give Angelina Jolie a second Oscar, because I mean, she's a wonderful actress. I don't think people generally think of her as like one of the greats. And I feel like to win your second Oscar, I feel like you have to be, especially in the lead categories. I don't know.
Most of the time, yeah.
I don't get that.
Especially in lead, yeah.
I think she's seen more, despite her Oscar win for Girl Interrupted, as a box office draw movie star. But you never know, that could change with this film. Maybe it gets people to, look back into her resume and her filmography and really appreciate it. Again, I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
I was very happy for her Tony win.
Hmm.
So we'll see. And I'm looking forward to the film, but I don't see among this list enough enthusiasm to get her that recognition for this film.
Yeah, and we also have to see, unlike with most of these performances here, Maria does not have a distributor, so we don't know like who will be pushing her for Best Actress. I think I'm guessing it'll probably premiere at Venice or one of those fall film festivals and get a distributor there. And I'm sure it'll be a big enough distributor to not worry about her not getting nominated. I think she's definitely going to be nominated, and yeah, I don't know about a win right now. I feel more confident that Amy Adams, the narrative and the performance will probably be more showy. But I think Angelina Jolie will be a staple nominee through pretty much the entire award season, and we'll see her throughout the award season. Some people think it could, like with Amy Adams, a little bit of a comeback narrative, since she hasn't been in a ton of films recently. We'll see. We'll see. Number 3, Mikey Madison for Enora. A little bit of a discovery nominee, if you will. We have some of these for younger actors, usually in the supporting categories, but it can happen in Best Actors as well. But we already have the reviews for this. People have already seen the performances. There have already been raves, like A Star is Born, a Discovery. Like Amy Adams and Angelina Jolie and Maria in Nightbitch, she is the titular character, so the whole film is centered around her. She's pretty much going to be in like every frame from what we've seen and heard. Sounds like a very good performance. I feel pretty good that she'll be nominated unless Honora like loses a bunch of steam, but I think it's Neon's big push. So I think she'll be good enough to get in there. What do you think?
Here is my crossroads with Honora and
Mhm.
Mikey Madison specifically. I have 2 points. The first one is I do worry that maybe because of the Cannes wins for the Palme d'Or, that we're overhyping it and that it'll lose its momentum by the time we get here. Because Mikey Madison, her biggest credits to date have been Scream, 5, and Once Upon
Once
a Time
upon a
in
time in
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Yeah,
Like, this would be a major jump that I'm not
it
saying
is.
she
Yeah.
doesn't deserve. We haven't seen the film. We're looking forward to it, and it's from what we've read, it seems that it's worthy of this. But
Mhm.
we're talking about Honora now, but it's going to have to open strong, and she's going to have to do a lot of work to get people to
Mhm.
introduce herself really. So I see that being a potential issue. My thing is what you have asterisks there. Where do we see Saoirse Ronan in Blitz ending up? I think they're wavering between lead
That's
and supporting.
that's we have this every year in Best Actress. It's weird.
Yeah,
It needs to stop. Every year there's one contender who it's like, is she gonna go lead or supporting? I also have it asterisk because Blitz
yeah,
is like one of the few movies right now that we know absolutely nothing about. Someone
yeah,
mentioned earlier, Apple TV released their like 2024 slate and they didn't mention Blitz. I hear it's mostly because they haven't figured out who their theatrical distribution partner is going to be, so they didn't want to put a date out there since they don't have that partner yet. I think it's still
yeah.
going to come out this year, but there's lots of question marks surrounding it, so I didn't feel confident enough to put it in
I'm comfortable taking Saoirse Ronan off, who was on my list, and
there.
putting Mikey Madison on the list
Yeah,
because Ronan's kind of up in the air. I also think because we have to worry about she also has the outrun. They may want to run Blitz and supporting and the outrun and lead so that she kind of
yeah,
is up. It's a weird place we're in with that film, and also a weird place we're in with Saoirse Ronan because I feel like
hmm
people like it's just going to become this. I feel like she's in Kate Winslet mode where they're just nominating her and nominating her
yeah,
with like no foreseeable future yet for a win. I hope that changes.
hmm
So we'll see. But I have Saoirse Ronan on my list just because I think Steve McQueen, if he hits strong. And I think that Saoirse Ronan is, of course, a talent that they want to honor and award. But if we're worried about the distribution and the category, then I'm fine for now taking her off and
yeah.
putting Mikey Madison on the list.
Yeah, because if Blitz had a solidified release date, like maybe a few stills, and Saoirse Ronan was like definitely the lead, I would have her in my five just right now because we know none of that. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep her a little bit lower down.
Mhm.
But yeah, and Justin makes a I could kind of see that. Alana Haim and Licorice Pizza vibes. Yeah, because I could see um, Honora being a similar nomination package as Licorice Pizza, which was really what just picture, director, screenplay. I think I could see that being Honora's main haul. Um,
Now, talk about your fourth, because I actually think that maybe Mikey Madison and Saoirse Ronan don't make the list, and maybe because I did not have Carla Sofia Gasson
Gascon, yeah, I'm
on
pretty
the
sure.
list,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
but just because I think that the the support for Amelia Perez might go elsewhere in the supporting category,
Mm,
but give me
yeah.
your pick for this because I might be turned around by the end of this conversation.
I just was reading a lot of the reviews from the film. The issue I have, we'll get with this on the next slide where we do a few more mentions. The main issue, I think it's from what I've read, a very good performance. She would be the first transgender actress nominated. She was honored along with the rest of the ensemble. But it seems like she was the standout, and from what I've read of the performances at Cannes for Amelia Perez. And it just feels like especially with if Netflix is really pushing for this film, which right now they haven't picked up anything else. We'll have to see at the fall festivals. Right now, this looks like their main push to me, at least. Just released a trailer recently. Um, if Netflix is pushing for this and it's their main push, Netflix is very good at getting acting nominations in particular, especially in the lead category. So I think if this is their push in lead actress, which I think it will be, like I mentioned, the only thing I have trouble with is it seems like it's like a pretty much co-lead, like maybe even Zoe Saldana has a little more screen time than Carla. So I don't know who they're going to push in lead and supporting. I mean, Carla is the titular Amelia Perez, and it seems like she's has close to the same amount of screen time as Zoe Saldana. So that's the main issue I have. It's like I don't know where they're gonna put Zoe Saldana really, because I feel like you have
I
to put
think
the
it
titular
comes down
Amelia
to
Perez in lead.
whether I think it comes down to whether they think that Zoe Saldana can win, because if she can win, she goes supporting. If they don't think
Mhm.
she can win, then I think they push her lead because she's the movie star. I
Yeah.
think because then Carla Sofia Gasson could go supporting and potentially win if they think
hmm
I think they're gonna I think it's very similar to Green Book or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You have a co-lead situation. Which one has a better shot at winning? You put in supporting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, again, I feel like that's maybe also why I'm a little on the fence because I feel like we're still waiting. Listen, most of these movies nobody's seen,
Yeah.
and
We're
people
waiting on
watch
most of
a
these
very
films.
small
Yeah.
group, so that's what makes this conversation fun and difficult in equal measure.
Yes.
Um, so there's one person who I have who's not on your list. It's not on your
That
top
might be
seven.
in the next slide. Yes. Yeah.
Oh God, we have another slide.
We do.
All right, then I will save it.
Should we talk about the Lady Gaga in the room?
Let's talk about Lady Gaga, the Lady Gaga in the room.
Yeah.
Who is Lady Gaga? This is where I think I am torn because, sequels, not necessarily a mode for acting nominations. Um, and personally, right now, we'll get to it. I don't have Joaquin Phoenix getting nominated. So I would have her as the sole nominee for Joker Folie à Deux. I do think that they love this character. And I know she's playing Harley Quinn, but she's really playing the female Joker.
Yeah.
It's won 2 Oscars already. And she's going to have all of the stuff that people love about that character, plus singing and dancing. It has a lot of bona fides that the acting branch really responds to. And I think when you look at this list, the list that you have, taking out Lady Gaga, this is a very film Twitter, very independently minded list. And I think we're going to need to see some contenders for those that love the big budget Hollywood movies, those big broad performances, because like what it says something that the closest thing we have to like a biopic or that type of like broad performance is a Maria Callas, Pablo Larraín movie.
Yeah. So I think Night Bitch will be pretty broad with the performance.
But it's still an independent movie. Like we're not talking about, even The Whale, I think, this drifted more into, broad melodrama. So to me, Joker Folie à Deux is going to benefit from the type of Academy voter that does love this sort of big budget, classic Hollywood vibe of, throwing a bunch of money at something, the type of movies that would win Best Picture in the 70s and the 60s. So that's why I think Lady Gaga just stands out from this group, because she is going to the back row where a lot of these other things are going to be very intimate, character-driven pieces, close to the camera. So I have Lady Gaga, and the other performance that I think we should maybe take seriously, because I think she is entering a new era of her career, having just been honored with the AFI Life Achievement Award, is Nicole Kidman, who I believe has 2 contenders here. There's one that seems to be very provocative and controversial, where she plays, I believe, a female, if not a CEO, like a high executive who starts
with Harris Dickinson.
With Harris Dickinson, her younger intern. And I think in Nicole Kidman's hands, I mean, she gets nominated for these, Rabbit Hole and these smaller movies that I don't think other actors could potentially get in. I think maybe the closest thing we have nowadays to that sort of actor is Emma Stone, as far as being a big name who will get, picked out for these smaller, more avant-garde pieces. I could see Nicole Kidman in a race where we're leaning more on people who haven't been nominated or haven't won, her being kind of that, that steady stalwart, contender. So I have her also in there.
In your 5.
In my 5 right now, because I'm torn about 2 of the people as far as whether they go lead or supporting. And I personally don't have Tilda Swinton on the list. I don't see.
Yes, we didn't talk about her.
That one materializing just yet, because I think Tilda Swinton is so wonderful and bizarre, but she always has those performances. So how is this going to? I mean, she didn't get nominated for We Need to Talk About Kevin. So how is this going to stand from against the pack? Where something like Nicole Kidman is probably a better bet if you're putting those 2 up against each other.
True. I think Pedro Almodovar is, I think, very good at getting the types of performances from his actors that appeal to the Academy. I mean, he just recently, Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory. And I think it's Tilda Swinton only has 1 Oscar nomination. I think it's time we get her another one. It's just 1 Oscar,
right?
I think just 1 nomination and 1 win. Yeah. So I think, especially from what I've read, what the film is about, it seems like a juicy role for both her and, we'll get into it, in supporting actress. That was really just throwing a dart at a wall there, because I think that could work out, especially with Sony Pictures behind it. That's their main push for the entire season, it seems. I think it's going to be hitting a bunch of the fall festivals. Like I said, Almodovar. I don't feel super confident about it, but that's what I chose to put there. So yeah, now on to the rest of our honorable mentions here. I didn't have the Nicole Kidman movie here because I wasn't sure if that was coming out this year, but it might. We'll have to see.
Again, that's what happens when we have this conversation.
That's what happens when we do it in June. Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know what we're called. Kidman heads, Kidmanators. Come up with a name for us.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
she has something on the horizon, I will pick it out because
Hmm.
she's one of the greats. Um,
She is.
and
She is.
I think that's talking about people who I think would be people would be ready to give a second Oscar to. That's somebody who I think they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They were always ready to go with being the Ricardos.
Yeah. Thank God that they weren't.
But so I mean I'll mention Zoe Saldana. Yes, if she's in lead, I think she's a contender. But
Yeah.
I think they're going to put her in supporting because I think then she could win in supporting.
Hmm.
At least that's my current station from having seen none of these
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. I still don't know what I'm gonna do about Zoe Saldana because I wasn't sure where to put her in actress or supporting actress because it just from the reviews, it seems like, especially in the first third, it's very much her film. Um, and then Amelia Perez comes in and it's more of like a two-hander there. So I don't totally, especially from the trailer, like it starts off like from her perspective. I just don't completely know what they're gonna. We'll have to see what they're gonna do. So I wasn't confident enough to put her in either of the categories. Spoiler alert.
um,
Hedda Gabler is a showy role. It's Tessa Thompson, so I just wanted to point that out. I think she should have been nominated for Passing. I'm sure she'll give a great performance. We don't really know a ton about the film, so that's why I wasn't confident enough to put it in there. But I think Tessa Thompson playing Hedda Gabler could potentially be a thing.
no disrespect to Nia DaCosta, who I
Mhm.
enjoyed parts of Candyman and I enjoyed parts of the Marvels, but I think that she's an unproven quantity in this space
Yeah.
to too confident in the movie carrying Tessa Thompson along because Tessa Thompson isn't an actor that can stand on her own. I feel like at this
No.
point,
No.
you look at something like Passing not being able to materialize. So that's where I stand on that. I mean, out of this list, the only one I really think that maybe you eye potentially is Jessica Lange for Long Day's
Mhm.
Journey into Night. I think I saw when she did this play. It was a long time ago, so I think I have seen her do this role. But I
Yeah.
think that part of it is again, there's a lack of discovery there. I think you expect that she can do this, so it has to be like tremendous to overcome that sort of expectation. Um,
Mhm.
and we have to see if it's cinematic in any ways but I
Yeah.
mean it could be Meryl Streep in August Osage County. That I feel like that's a very clean parallel for this film and that performance, so we'll see. But other than that, like I feel bad. I don't think Zendaya is happening for challengers.
No. Maybe a SAG or Golden Globe nom, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but even then I think
I
Golden
think
Globe
Golden Globe. Yeah.
that so yeah, and I think the others I just don't think are going to be strong enough. Pamela Anderson in the last show.
I
I didn't see Pamela
I
Anderson.
do. She from what I've read about the role in the film, I believe it's a Gia Coppola film. Coppola, sorry, I forget how you say it. I keep doing that. But it seems like a good role, kind of like a I don't know, it seems like a narrative that could materialize if the film is good to me.
So I
So,
it's and I loved the performance I'm about to compare this to, and I thought it was worthy of a nomination. It's feeling very Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers. It might be too
okay.
commercial. It might be like just I don't think people are going to take her seriously, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So, but again, we'll have to see the movie, because I think the issue is that you're either having people having to create narratives or break down the narratives created by the industry.
Yeah.
Not us. I suppose
Yeah. We don't have
well,
any
YouTube
influence.
have that power.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a topic of conversation. So then you just have to go beyond that. So we'll see.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning with Jessica Lange, Long Day's Journey into Night. That movie has had lots of weird release issues, like it doesn't have a distributor. Jessica Lange said she wasn't sure when it's coming out, so that's why it's a little lower. But from what I have heard about the performance, like you mentioned, it's a showy performance and it's Jessica Lange, so it's worth
I want to
having mentioned.
bring up Brit XOXO,
Yep.
the comment,
Pamela Kenda.
the one before that, because I've seen some talk about this. Personally, given the type of campaigner we know Lady Gaga to be, I don't think she wants to go supporting. I think she wants to be
No.
taken seriously as a lead actress, and it seems at least so far as a two-hander. So I think that would be probably a hard thing. I mean, Warner Brothers might if Lady Gaga really wants to win, she might make that decision. But I feel like her desire to be seen as a serious leading actress will keep her in.
Mhm.
And she could win in lead. Again, I think that the idea that she can't is not necessarily true. I think that given how the race shakes up, that might be the one win for Joker 2 if Joker 2 is accepted, and because that will be the thing that distinguishes it from the first film. So I
Mhm.
would, and I do think people did however they felt about House of Gucci, it was clear that she was the best part of that movie, given how the
Yeah.
guild and how all the lead up. Everybody but the Oscars seemed to get behind her in that performance. So, and
Hmm.
she's Lady Gaga, so they weren't doing it out of pity. They genuinely
Yeah.
liked her performance,
Yeah.
and I think they really admired her in A Star Is Born, and I think that movie just peaked too early. But it had nothing to
Hmm.
do with her work. So I think they really respect her, and she's going to have, just like everybody else this year, she's going to have a new album that'll only boost
Oh my
her
God. Yeah.
in the
Everyone will. Yeah.
popularity. So she could win in lead actress. But I also think it's important to note that she's also somebody who could be on the line if they really want to push it. But we've seen them push
Hmm.
it before that far. I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of Donald Sutherland, Timothy Hutton is the lead star of Ordinary People, and he won for Best Supporting. So
Yeah.
you never know.
They
And
can. They can.
he took the spot from Donald Sutherland.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And we'll have to see what they do with Zoe Saldana as well, because who knows? But she definitely could. She
Maybe Mike
could. I don't think
wins
she
by
will.
default because there's nobody else in lead.
Everyone else just goes to supporting. Amy Adams goes to supporting. The dog was the main character, guys. Yeah, I think anything else here to mention? Marion John Baptiste. It's a Mike Lee film. I think if other things don't materialize, I could see her like getting a BAFTA nomination that leads to the Oscars. Maybe lots of people believe in here. It's a Robert Zemeckis movie, so I'm not going to believe it until we get reviews for it, considering his recent track record. As we mentioned, Zendaya and Childers. Ryan Destiny playing a boxer in The Fire Inside. They need to change that title. Flint Strong was much better, but it's an Amazon MGM film. Script written by Barry Jenkins. She's playing like a sports boxer motivational movie. They moved the release from August to December, so I think that shows maybe a little more faith in it. But once again, it's kind of a mystery. Same with Tilda Swinton in the end. Kind of a mystery, so not enough info to put it super high up. Are we ready to move on to the actor? We got the most interesting category of the year over with.
Yes, I think we are ready.
Let us do it. Best actor. I think like lots of people either have number one or number two here winning. I have Daniel Craig winning for Queer. I think that's once again with this film, as we mentioned with a few other ones, no distributor, so that is important. We have to see. Like most people think, I think it will probably end up showing at Venice and then probably get a distributor out of there. So yeah, I mean, he's playing pretty much like a, drug addict, queer man who's kind of just wandering through. I think it's Mexico City, and he stumbles upon, I believe, a military character, which we'll get into in supporting actor. It's Luca Guadagnino, as we saw with Challengers and pretty much all of his other films. He gets good performances out of his actors, and it's Daniel Craig. He has never even been nominated for an Oscar. And I think I don't know. I can see this performance and narrative materializing and film materializing more than the other ones, besides maybe Coleman Domingo. But I think they're going to maybe award that film elsewhere. Is my thought.
We agreed that the top three are in. We have a different order
Yeah.
though. I currently have Daniel Craig at number 3 because
Okay.
we're still waiting on distribution for Queer,
Yeah. No
correct?
distributor. Yeah. No
Yeah,
distributor.
so I think that still, it still waits to be seen whether we'll be waiting to see that movie.
I think it'll come out, but yeah, that's
I
fair.
agree. But so right now, Coleman Domingo coming off of that TIFF tribute award, um,
Hmm.
and a lot of goodwill and support and love for Rustin. He got in for that. Of course, his love as a television actor on things like Euphoria. And I think this is the type of role and movie, especially if we think it's a Best Picture contender and potential winner.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he would go along for the ride like Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
Because I think he would probably, from what we know about the movie, he is a prime mover of that movie. He is responsible for that movie's success. So I have Coleman Domingo at 1. I think Ray Fiennes is an actor who I don't believe he hasn't won. Has he
Hmm.
been nominated?
I don't think so, honestly. Let's see.
But I think he's an actor who is beloved, and so I definitely think he's in. Nicholas Hoult for number 4 is one where I was toying with it based on, because I have another actor from that movie getting into supporting, and so I don't know if Nicholas Hoult is, this would be a major jump in his career. This would be a sort of a, I don't know, a validation of his career so far,
Yeah.
because I don't think he's gotten to this stature yet. So it could happen, but at the same time, I think there are a couple other names that I feel like are more guaranteed. And those two other names aren't on your list, or at least not on your top seven.
Oh, maybe they'll be in the next. Yeah, Best Actor is an interesting one. It's a weird field, I'd say, this year. I will have to see how it develops, but right now it seems because I'm not. We really talked about the top three: Daniel Craig, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. I feel pretty good.
So
Same with
Ray
Ray
Fiennes
Fiennes.
has been
He's
nominated
done
twice.
two.
Best Actor
Yeah,
in a Supporting Role for Schindler's List in '94, and then The English Patient, Best Actor in a Leading Role in '97. So
yet to win
it's
though.
been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a little bit. I think it'll be nominated. I just am not super confident in that film overall. I think that could kind of end up being something like The Sun, where it's like a sophomore effort after someone's big Oscar moment and it doesn't quite materialize, especially given the screenwriter. Right now, I'm going to believe in it, but I'm not going to believe in it hard enough to give it some wins. I think either way, it's Ray Fiennes. From what I've read about what the book is about, he's the central protagonist and he's going through a lot of stuff. Same with Nicholas Hoult in Juror Number Two. He is the juror who then discovers he might have something to do with the crime that is committed on for the jury he is serving on. It seems like there will be a lot of internal conflict, drama stuff going on there. And like I said, this field, and I also have more faith in Juror Number Two than I have it in Best Picture. Most people don't seem to be believing it, but I think Clint Eastwood, final film, going out strong.
He has
I think
said
it'll.
he's making his final film so many
I
times.
think this.
It's a
He'll
real
say it for this one.
final film.
Yeah.
He made Crime Macho or whatever it was called. We'll
Well,
see.
eventually it's going to be his final film. So I think I'm just going to say this one is it for now. But yeah, I feel pretty good about that. As Sebastian Stan and The Apprentice, I don't feel great about. I don't feel great about it, but I don't know what else to put in there, to be honest. The
Okay.
Apprentice, if it comes out, it still doesn't have Megalopolis got a distributor. Congratulations,
And a
Lionsgate. The
theatrical
Apprentice
distributor,
still
something that I didn't think was going to happen at Lionsgate
I
picked it up.
know. I didn't even consider Lionsgate, to be honest.
I
Good for
didn't.
them. Yeah, I'm sure Francis did not get exactly what he wanted, but at least he got a theatrical distributor. But it's showing that Megalopolis has a theatrical distributor and The Apprentice still doesn't have anything. I think there's lots of fear surrounding a potential second Trump administration and all of that concerning picking up the film. So I don't know if it gets a distributor and it's a decent enough distributor. And at that point, it's Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump. And we've seen from the reviews, most people say the standout of the film and he gives a good performance. So I'm just keeping him there. I don't feel great about it because I don't feel great about the film releasing or getting a great distributor, to be honest. But none of these other options, which we can get into, really stood out to me. So I kept him there.
The couple stood out to me. I will asterisk Joaquin Phoenix because, of course, he won for the first movie.
Yeah.
Al Pacino got nominated for Godfather Part 2 after his nomination for Godfather Part 1. It was in different categories. And if you could argue that maybe Marlon Brando was more of the, Al Pacino, Michael Corleone was the lead of the first film, but you could argue Marlon Brando, he was in lead actor, the movie didn't have the same focal point, and maybe that's why he gets in for the second one for lead. So it's of course it's happened for an actor to win and then come back in the same role for the same character. It's rare, of course. So that's why we're wondering, and we'll see.
He has to be doing something different, I think, is what happens.
Yeah, if there was as much love for that movie as there seemed to be the first round, because it got the leading number of nominations its year, 11, and he won, it could happen. But I think that's the thing where let's wait to see how the conversation goes, because, we have that movie, we have Inside Out 2, which it's like, well, listen, is this going to do the same thing? We just saw with Spider-Verse, the
Inside Out 2 is animated feature, that's it.
Yeah, but just as far as just because you've won before doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get in the next time. So we'll see what happens. Because I'm thinking Inside Out, because I don't know about you. I feel like if the Best Picture had to go to 10 in 2015, the way it has to go to 10 now, I think Inside Out probably maybe was one of those.
Force Awakens, probably one of those.
Inside Out, Force Awakens, Straight Outta Compton, Carol for that last.
One of those. Oh, Carol too. Yeah, I actually may say Carol.
So we'll see. It might have been Inside Out and Carol. That's kind of how I feel it might have.
That battle.
Maybe. So we'll see. But anyway, so that just Joker is such a it's it's an we don't know. it's an untested quantity
It
that
is.
we have to wait and see. But I think he definitely could get in if there is that much love for the movie, and because he's doing something completely different with the musical elements, he could get in. But I didn't put
Okay.
him in just because, let's just say he's good, but he's as good as the last one, and maybe he does it, and all the attention goes to Gaga. I looked at two other performances also to make this conversation more fun.
Yes.
So if you want to go to your next
Yes.
slide,
I just
if
quickly,
they're all,
because I didn't, yeah, because I didn't mention it when we did actress, really, I kind of brushed over. If you watched our best picture predictions, you probably can guess this. I'm not personally a huge believer in the Joker 2 following up the first one's Oscar
yeah,
success, so that's why I don't have Gaga or Phoenix in, even though I think most people definitely have Gaga in there.
yeah.
So just in case y'all didn't know, but we'll have to see. I think it'll definitely make a ton of money at least, and we'll have to see how it is felt about by because the Academy liked it for sure with the first one. Then we can quickly say Paul Bettany for the collaboration. It's an Anthony McCartan script. You can watch his performance on YouTube in some clips right now. It's a theatrical performance. Uh, could happen. It seems showy enough. We just have to see how the Anthony McCartan films are in terms of quality. So
I like Mando's comment that it could be very similar to Leo, where we've been down the road before with that actor, especially in this role, and let's pivot to the more exciting character and actor in the other category, and then Joaquin misses. I think that's a very astute point and could happen. All right, I want to see if my two are on your long list.
Okay, let's see. Do you see them here?
I see one of them.
Okay.
So this is the thing. He's a previous Oscar nominee. He's going to be in a big movie. Usually, I don't like to bet on this sort of film this early, but Russell Crowe did win Best Actor for
I thought I was the Gladiator 2 head. Wow.
So I just think that because Paul Mescal is beloved right now, he's one of the few non-Dune movie stars, I think, just establishing himself. And I think this movie could really make him a capital M movie star. And yeah, the first movie won Best Actor. So I think the idea that he wouldn't even get nominated, I feel like, is a little bit of a fool's errand. To me, I feel like he's definitely in the conversation if the movie delivers. You never know with Ridley Scott, and that I could understand is where the apprehension comes in. But I'm going to put him in. He's in my number 5. The one that's in my number 4 actually is for a smaller film, but it has a Metacritic score over 82. And I think what I am likening if this movie is able to get some momentum, that's left to be seen. It's a very small film, so that might be hard. But I do think there'll be interest in the film after last year and the win last year. And I do think this could go the way of Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl. Hot off a win, gets another nomination. There's a movie called Small Things Like These, and it stars Cillian Murphy.
Yes, I've heard about
it's about a devoted father in 1985 who discovers disturbing secrets about the local convent and uncovers shocking truths. It's a clean hour and 36 minutes. So it's nice. A long watch. And I think because people really fell in love, some people, they really discovered Cillian Murphy. At least they plucked him out of the background for the first time. If you weren't watching Peaky Blinders, I could see this movie getting some traction because now they're looking to, okay, what are you doing next with your Oscar capital? And I think a lot of these other performances, I don't really see Timothée Chalamet or Jesse Plemons or Tom Hanks or Dwayne Johnson. I don't see these sort of people materializing in the same way because I don't think they're going to be looked at with the same maybe respect as somebody like Cillian Murphy. So this seems like a juicy role. Critics seem to like it. This might be a critical hit. That sometimes happens.
Does it have a distributor?
I believe it does. Let me check. If not, I would be. It's already played to critics, so it's not like it's been seen.
I would just hope it has a big enough distributor and not like a super small one. I think that could potentially hold it back.
I believe it was the opening night film at the Berlin Festival.
Yes, it was definitely at that festival. I remember soon after the Oscars stuff.
Currently, it's distributed by Lionsgate in Ireland. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go on
lock down the Ireland.
Yeah, lock down the Irish vote. I don't know because I look at all these other names and none of them are really speaking.
No, I agree. I think this field is not super strong, to be honest. John David Washington for The Piano Lesson, he's done it. I just don't think, to be honest, any of the performances I've seen from him super stand out, and it seems like even in this play, the other performances in the play stand out more than his does as the lead character. I don't really see it materializing, but it's worth mentioning. Another blockbuster performance besides Paul Mescal, I think maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see. Timothée Chalamet, since we've seen it in Dune Part 2. It's a show. I mean, it's a showy performance. He's yelling and screaming. He does a whole arc and transformation. Also previously nominated for an indie film. So yeah, I think that could maybe happen. I don't know. Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness, if they put him in lead or in supporting, I think maybe lead since he has the most screen time. He won at Cannes Best Actor, and he's a very
I
respected
love
actor.
him, so
Previously
he's
nominated
always
for
possible, but I don't
You're
think so.
muted, by the way. I think.
Are you sure? Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, you're good now. You're good now.
Hello. Yeah, I just saying Jesse Plemons possible because I love him, but I'm not necessarily feeling it for this movie.
Yeah, I'm not really either. I don't think the film is really going to totally materialize into anything besides maybe screenplay. Andre Holland for the actor, it seems like a juicy role, and I think it's Neon Distributing. I just don't totally know if that's going to become anything. As mentioned, Ethan Hesse for the Nickel Boys. I think he is probably too young. He is the lead of the film. It's also going to be switching back in time, so he's not like it's not like he gets the screen time throughout the whole time. There'll be an older actor playing the older version of him, I believe. And like we saw with Moonlight, usually, especially when they split through different time periods, it's hard to get behind one specific actor. But from what I've read about the book, it's a role that I think calls for some big acting moments. As you mentioned, Paul Mescal, Gladiator 2. I'm surprised you have that in your 5, to be honest. Like you mentioned, Russell Crowe did win for the first one. I have the film in Best Picture, and I feel pretty good about it, and I still don't totally know if they'll go for it. We'll have to see if it's as juicy, I guess, as Russell Crowe's performance was. I just think Russell Crowe is also much more established than Paul Mescal in terms of, by that point in his career and at the Oscars, than Paul
What
Mescal
movie
is
you
right
have
now.
at that point? Let me go back.
I don't know. We'll have to
I
see.
just know that if the movie hits and it just moved up to get an extra week out in front of Wicked and Moana 2, if it hits,
Yeah.
I think he could definitely go along for the ride. I mean, the actors obviously really respect him. They were able to make After Sun happen, it's a big showy performance. And again, it's that sort of like we're pitching a lot of these sensitive flowers, and we're gonna need some big budget, for lack of a better word, macho movies in this category. Where's our whales? Where's our Elvises? And I think he's somebody who could fill that void. In a Oscar caliber role, because we have to imagine he's filling the void of Russell Crowe in this movie.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see. At least maybe a trailer or something. Because we don't really know a ton about the role. We'll see. Tom Hanks for Here, once again, Robert Zemeckis. If it materializes, maybe. Tom Hanks didn't even get in for Captain Phillips, so I think he needs to really be doing something to get into lead actor at this point. George McKay for The End. Once again, we don't know a ton about The End. It's been a minute since I've seen George McKay in something.
I have a question for you. We can do Dwayne Johnson. I
don't think it's coming out this year either. That's why there's asterisks next to it. Maybe if it was coming out, I could see it because, as we've seen from the makeup, he's transforming and stuff. But I think that's a next year thing.
Because if you go back to your top 7, and real quick, and if we disagree on, I'll even give you Nicholas Hoult. Let's say Cillian Murphy is too small and it only gets released in Ireland. Let's say that's going to happen.
That could happen. Yeah.
I don't think Sebastian Stan is happening within a country mile. I really don't. And I think Paul Bettany,
I don't feel great about it.
I think Paul Bettany it's going to be very theatrical because it's coming from a play. I don't think it'll get the momentum it needs. And we've talked about Joaquin Phoenix potentially just not doing enough to differentiate between the first one and all the energy going to Lady Gaga. In that case, now go to your next group. I feel like Paul Mescal is definitely at the top of this list. I mean, he's definitely.
Maybe I should put him higher up. Yeah. Especially since I have him in Best Picture. Yeah, that immediately makes it stronger.
One out of these groups that you can say there's a previous winner who fits that narrative, and that just happens to be Gladiator 1 for Russell Crowe. And I think that's at this point in June what we're looking at. We're looking at, have there been other, we talked about it with Amy Adams as far as the precedent to win while also having something unique. And I think Paul Mescal definitely has a uniqueness. I don't think he's going to give us a character like Russell Crowe did. They're very different actors in that way. but they're probably filling a similar void because that it's a gladiator movie. So I don't know.
Mhm.
But again, I'm the person who's so afraid of Ridley Scott movies in these sort of
Yeah,
conversations,
that's why
and
I'm
not want to
surprised because
do it
I'm
anything.
huge on
All
Gladiator
Esco
too.
rises above that. So
I think someone else will rise above acting wise, but we'll get to that
we'll
soon.
see.
Um, I think that's pretty much it for Best Actor. Someone asked what's Netflix's push because they're once again good at acting. I think out of these, it's John David Washington, right? Unless they
Yeah,
pick up Queer or something
yeah.
else. I think it's
Which I
John David
could, because
Washington.
of course Daniel Craig with Knives Out has a good
They're
connection
invested in him. That's
with them.
true.
So maybe they want to support him.
Get him an Oscar before Knives Out 3. That's true.
Wake
That's
up,
true.
dead man. Wake up, Oscar man. All
Wake
right.
Up Dead Man. Yes.
Best
Best
supporting actor.
Supporting Actress. This field is maybe Best Supporting Actress always looks like the thinnest field from the start, but I have Toni Collette at number one because she is playing, I think, either the juror or district attorney. She's playing like one of those kind of roles in a court film, which I think it could kind of be like Laura Dern, play like a juicy lawyer role from an actress who hasn't totally been honored in that kind of way before. I think she's definitely, in my opinion, going to be the acting standout of the film. So if juror number two is a thing, she plays a juicy like lawyer performance. She's only been nominated once before, but I think lots of people, especially with Hereditary and stuff like that, I think people are like, okay, let's give
She
Toni
has
Collette
younger
some attention.
fans. She has older
Mhm.
fans. She is one of the most versatile,
She's
brilliant
so good. She's one of
talents
my favorites.
of our time. She can do comedy. She can do drama. She can do horror.
Exactly.
As you said, one nomination for The Sixth Sense. I think, putting aside the Amelia Perez situation, which I think we just have to wait to see. Where is
We
everybody going
do.
to
Yeah.
I do think she is a very, very strong contender, and I agree with you right now. Let's just say for this conversation,
You have her at number one too? Oh,
let's
okay.
just say Zoe Saldana's in lead, as you put her
Mhm.
already. And even if she's in supporting, I think that the more just looking at her face right there at the top, it fits.
Look
It
at
really
her.
does
Yeah.
fit. And I
Yeah.
think she's somebody who you always talk about, and I love this. Can you picture the Oscar in their hand?
Oh,
I can
yeah.
picture the Oscar in
Mhm.
Toni Collette's hand
I can
very
totally see
easily.
it.
I think Laura Dern is a great comp. So if
Yeah.
the movie delivers, I think she is definitely a major contender. I agree with you, Daniel Deadweiler, also on that list. It was funny. She appears very briefly, and I saw the TV Glow, and I was like so happy to see her there. So I'm glad she'll get another
Mhm.
chance here with this, and likely get the nomination for which she didn't get for Till.
Yeah.
The others,
It's a showy performance from what I've read
yeah,
about the play. She plays the sister who wants to keep the piano. It's Daniel Deadweather. I think it'll
yeah.
probably happen.
And then Saoirse Ronan for Blitz, again, we don't know. I think definitely if she's in supporting, could very
If
well
she's
get.
in supporting, yeah.
I have the one name that isn't here, and we haven't talked about because we've already talked about Zoe Saldana. Is Anjanou Ellis Taylor for the Nickel Boys. I think she could
She's just,
potentially
yeah.
get in there. We have to see how the movie performs, but she's kind of the one name that is not on your list. I get
She's
very
on the
worried.
next slide, yes.
I get very worried about Julianne Moore because of what happened with May December.
I do too. I do too.
And then
I think this might materialize more though, hopefully.
And listen, I grew up watching her. I love her. If the Emmys can't get even over nominating Selena Gomez, I don't see how the Oscars will do it.
I know. I needed because I have Amelia. I needed some films that I have in Best Picture and Supporting Actress because I can't just have like I don't think Piano Lesson or His Three Daughters or Room Next Door are getting into Best Picture. So I needed at least one other one. So I did Selena Gomez for Amelia Perez. If Zoe Saldana is in supporting, I would definitely put her in there. Right now, I just want Amelia Perez is such a wild card in terms of who's going to go where. It's kind of like just take your best guess.
And where they're just going to say for your consideration and list the actor, which was a disaster for Leo. Natasha Lyonne, I think, is interesting because it is a very it's a wild card of this group, and that could make her stand out. But I could also see them just ignoring that film. I think Isabella Rossellini in Conclave, given the strength of that movie so far and the acting predictions that we seem to have, nominating Ray Fiennes. There's somebody else that we're going to talk about in supporting actor. I could see that one getting in because she is, of course, she's not Hollywood royalty. She's a cinema royalty.
She is.
And I think that she's a really well-respected actor. So if the movie delivers, I think she could definitely get on that list.
I do worry because I don't read the books, but I read a summary of the Conclave book. And
if
her role.
Sum up America. And like, do you read?
I
read
time
synopses.
for reading.
I read
I read the super long Spark Notes thing instead of just reading the book. But from what I've read, it's I mean they have Isabella Rossellini. I'm sure they can change it and update it from the book. From what I've read, though, it's not the biggest role. So until like I maybe see a trailer and it's like Isabella Rossellini like really delivering and having a big role, I'm not going to fully commit to it. I probably should. To be honest, it makes more sense than some of these other ones. I'm not super. Julianne Moore is a hope prediction, just Justice for May December. To
Oh,
be honest,
believe me, I know. If Charles Melton
um,
was in like a Tide commercial, he'd be on here.
yep,
Uh,
he would. He would.
I think the one thing we have to mention before we switch to your long list is
Mm-hmm.
Clint Eastwood has been tripped up recently with some of his more conservative messaging. I mean, we saw what happened with Richard Jewell and specifically Olivia Wilde's performance. I'm not saying that that was going to be one that was going to be
Still got
nominated.
a performance nominated though. Yeah,
It did. It got Kathy Bates before it got nominated. But there is also always the question mark of it doesn't seem to hurt him with like American Sniper did very well. It's crazy to think that was the top domestic grosser of its year. But that is the one thing that could get in Toni Collette's way, because something about Justice and Clint Eastwood, you know, we have to wait to see how that gets received by the the Hollywood elite and the
we'll
the people
see.
making the decision.
It is a wild card. It's one of those films, kind of like Blitz, where we don't know a ton about it. There's no poster. There's all we know is Warner. The Variety reported Warner Brothers was felt good about what they've seen from the film. And I don't think Eastwood's going to be talking a ton, to be honest, this award season. I think he's getting up there. I think he's going to do a pretty chill press. What would you call it?
And listen, I mean, he has delivered quite a few acting wins for his actors.
He has.
So he's somebody like
himself. He gets it.
It's somebody like Tarantino who, like, listen, if they have a contender, especially one that hasn't been awarded, like a Brad Pitt, they're worth paying attention to. And I think I almost think that Toni Collette, more than Amy Adams, people would love to give an Oscar to Toni Collette, because I think that's the type of actor who, like, I feel like with Amy Adams, there's this idea that she'll always be around. With Toni Collette,
she's gotten a ton of nominations. Toni Collette's only got one.
I guarantee you there's some people who think Amy Adams already has one. But probably, I think Toni Collette is the type of thing where, like, oh, we have to do this now because it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like with Laura Dern. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I think with Laura Dern, there was this idea of, like,
she had two before, I think.
It's Wild, and there was another one, a very small indie.
There was another one. Yeah.
So, all right. Want to go to your long list?
Yeah. I also just do want to mention, not quickly talking about Natasha Lyonne for His Three Daughters, because it was seen. People say she's the standout. It's a very emotional performance. I think Natasha Lyonne is kind of like an actress who people are kind of like would want to give some flowers to for a performance. She's great on Poker Face and other stuff. So, and it's Netflix, and Netflix is once again good at pushing their actors.
Great in those old Navy commercials as well.
She is. She's got a great voice. I do realize here, though, that 3 of my top 5 are Netflix performances, so I should probably get one of them out there.
Rambling Rose was the first Laura Dern nomination in the 90s. All right.
I don't think
we've talked about all the contenders already, so I'm interested to see.
Yeah, let's see. Anjanette Ellis-Taylor, like you mentioned, people say that she's playing like the cop character in the film, but from what I've read and looked for, there's no confirmation of that. IMDb lists her as Hattie, which is like the grandmother caretaker character, which I don't think it's maybe juicy enough for a nomination. Maybe lots of people have her winning, which I don't know. Even if it's the cop, I don't know. I don't know enough about the film. I don't personally have a ton of faith in the film right now. We'll have to see. I could end up being totally wrong. It could end up being MGM, Amazon's big push. It wins TIFF Audience Award or whatever, and it becomes a big contender. But right now, from what I've read about the film, it seems like it's going to be a very dark, kind of depressing thing. So I'm not fully committing to it. But if someone is committing to the film, she totally makes sense to be in there. So,
I think your top 2 are contenders. Leslie Manville, of course, surprised us with Phantom Thread, so she could do it again.
I do want to mention once again. I think I mentioned I read the queer summary. I think she's pretty much going to be, from what I've read, a wholly original character, because there's no characters from what I've read that would fit Leslie Manville. So I think, and from what I've read about the book, I think they're going to have to do lots of adapting and changing, because some of that stuff I don't think is going to work today. So I think it'll be interesting. I think she's going to be an original part of the film, freshly created. So we'll have to see. That's why I wasn't going to put her in there. I don't know the size of the role or what it's going to totally be. So we'll see. And no distributor, once again. Kathy Burke for Blitz. I don't know. I'm running out of things to put here, so I just put Kathy Burke for Blitz. Connie Nielsen for Gladiator 2. Who knows? Maybe she gets like an Angela Bassett Wakanda Forever scene where she's like screaming and emotional. Who knows? Zoe Saldana once again. If she's in supporting, I'll put her probably in the 5. But once again, as I say here, she's got the most screen time of everyone, so we'll have to see. Sohila Golstani for The Seat of Sacred Fig seemed like a standout from that film. So if that develops, I guess maybe. Rebecca Ferguson for Dune, Kelly Riley for here. This is, I think, the thinnest category thus far. I think it's really that top 9.
It's just thin because it's half of these people could be in lead, half of these people could be from lead, could come to supporting. So we'll see. Yeah, as much as I love Rebecca Ferguson in Dune Part 2, and just overall, I think she gives potentially the strongest performance in those movies as Lady Jessica. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. The Supremes movie is a Hulu release, so some people did have a lot of faith in that. That didn't seem like anything to me, so I think it'll be an Emmy contender. Oh yeah, as mentioned, it's a Hulu release. Shall we move on to our final category?
Finish it up.
Supporting actor. Lots of people got Sam L. Jackson winning here. I believe Clarence Macklin is going to win for Sing Sing. Do you agree?
Well, no, I'm looking at your list, and for once,
all of
our names are in our top 7.
Okay, good. But Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, from what I've read about the film, he seems to be like the heart of the film, the standout. I believe he was an actual like actor and participant in like the prison acting program that this film is about. So there's a narrative there. People say he's the supporting actor standout. And if you look right now, I've got Sing Sing winning SAG Ensemble and Best Picture. I think it's definitely looking strong for SAG Ensemble. Best Picture, I'm not totally confident about, but if you look at the past 3 SAG Ensemble winners and Best Picture winners, they also all won one other category, which happens to be supporting actor. So if I'm having Sing Sing winning picture and SAG Ensemble, that kind of makes sense. It's the kind of film that I think would win a supporting category rather than, because it seems like more of an ensemble film, in my opinion. I think it would probably win here more so than Coleman Domingo. So I think with the narrative, I could kind of see him being like a Troy Kotzer kind of narrative here. So that's why I have him at number 1 right now instead of Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong argument. Also because Samuel Jackson does have an honorary Oscar. He won at the Governor's Awards. Honored with that. So he technically does have an Academy Award, but still that's not the same thing. And I could see a lot of momentum for Samuel Jackson. But I also like your...
Film needs to be in Best Picture for that to happen, though, I think. And I don't think Piano Listen is going to be strong enough to get into Best Picture.
I don't think necessarily, but I do think it would definitely help him. So we'll see.
What was the last winner who wasn't in Best Picture in this category? I think you got to kind of be in Best Picture. It's been a while.
Let me see. 2019 was who?
I'm going back to Moonlight. No.
Who was 2019? Oh, Brad Pitt. No.
Yeah. I think you got to be in Best Picture.
2014. What was 2014? It was
I don't remember. No. I can't go that far. We're going back far enough where it's kind of like the point.
I'm going to do.
I'll let you keep thinking. I do this. So yeah, that's why I don't have Samuel L. Jackson at number 1 like lots of people. There's definitely a narrative there, but I don't think the film is in Best Picture, and I don't think the film will be strong enough for a win. I think he'll be nominated though. Drew Starkey in Queer. He's playing like a veteran military character who Daniel Craig's character kind of has a admiration and obsession kind of with. And from what I've read, once again, on the summary from SparkNotes about the film, it seems like a juicy enough role that I think he could kind of be like our Lucas Hedges kind of younger actor. Who was the other one? Cody Smith McPhee, who
is Christopher Plummer.
Gets in there. Christopher, that's a minute ago. Yeah.
Over a decade, because it was,
Django similar narrative though.
Vaults, Dallas Buyers Club, Jared Leto, and then J.K. Simmons, Whiplash, Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies, and then the others. I feel like everything. Herschel Ali on. I feel like most of us have in our heads.
Yeah.
So you might be right.
Older actor who's over too though.
Also, he's Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
So he carries his own life.
I think he'll be nominated.
I like that you called him Jonathan Lithgow. It's like he's been
Jonathan Lithgow. I'm being very formal. Yeah, about John Lithgow in Conclave, lots of people have Stanley Tucci in over him. Once again, I read the Conclave summary of the book. And he just seems like the much juicier role, in my opinion. I think I'm not going to spoil anything, but he is more important as the film goes on, whereas I think Stanley Tucci gains less importance. He's kind of like, because they're looking at all of these potential people to choose for the position. They're all playing Cardinals, I believe, besides Isabella Rossellini, who is a sister, nun. So yeah, I think Jonathan Lithgow is kind of like the fake, charismatic, like perfect teeth, from what I've read, like charming guy, whereas Stanley Tucci is kind of a more timid, doesn't completely have what it takes for the position kind of guy. So I think, and Jonathan Lithgow, I think, is maybe a little bit more of an they're both very respected, but I think in terms of like
Well,
Academy appeal, I
Stanley
think
Tucci
Lithgow.
has been nominated once for The Lovely Bones in
Mhm,
2009, I believe.
mhm,
And if you got to go back to 1984 for the last time John Lithgow was nominated. He's been nominated twice. He was nominated in 1983
mhm.
and then 1984 and then never again. So it's
Oh,
funny
wow.
how he got those two and then never again. I think he's in. I agree with you. I think Denzel, he's either in or he's out. Depends on the role. Do we know, is he playing the villain? Do we know anything about his role at all? Um,
He is playing like I forget completely. I think he's playing like the main gladiator trainer guy, and he is using the people who he trains. He's like plotting a way to like take down the leaders of Rome. He's like using the gladiator people to try and start an uprising against what's his name, Joseph Quinn's lead, like Emperor Joaquin Phoenix character guy. So I could see it.
I could see it. I could also see it like if it's just not, again, this is the thing with Ridley Scott and Gladiator. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of we got to wait to see how it performs because this is one of the few movies where box office will determine the movie. That
Hmm.
performance will have an effect more so on this film than any others, really. I think, other than
Yeah.
even Joker. I think because that's taking such a creative risk. I think Gladiator really needs a strong box office performance. J.K. Simmons, we got to see the role because, of course, he was able to sneak in for being the Ricardos, so he could obviously
Yeah.
sneak in. And then I had Brian Tyree Henry just because I think that he obviously got in for Causeway, small film.
Hmm.
The actors really took notice, and I think this is the type of role potentially where he could do it again.
It's a
I do
coach
think
role. They love coach
this,
roles.
yeah, this is your top 7, I think for sure. I could see Drew Starkey missing if Queer maybe doesn't get the support it needs, if it's not Netflix's
Hmm.
priority. Netflix does pick it up,
Hmm.
or whatever studio it is. If it's not their priority, maybe he slips through the cracks because we've seen, really important supporting performances miss out. I mean, Armie Hammer didn't get nominated for Call Me by Your Name, or Dominic Sessa last year didn't get nominated for The Holdovers. So I could see him filling that void, but
He could. Yeah.
we have to see the distributor really. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm interested to see who's on your long list.
I think also J.K. Simmons is playing a fellow juror, so we'll have to see what kind of role he plays to Nicholas Holt's juror in those issues. So lots of these we'll see, but I feel pretty good about that top 7. Let's see who else is here. Oh yeah, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. I've seen the film. I just personally, he's playing middle class Roman Roy. It's pretty much the same performance, to be honest. So I don't know. It didn't stand out to me, but maybe that's because he's just won recently for Succession for a similar performance. Searchlight's behind it. They just released the trailer. They're definitely going to push for him. I just don't totally see it materializing personally, just because I don't know. Maybe it's my personal bias. I just wasn't like completely taken away by it. And I don't think that film will be anything that's just a Kieran Culkin vehicle. I don't think it'll be anything else besides maybe screenplay. So I think some stronger films will overtake it, to be honest. So we'll see. As we mentioned, Stanley Tucci for Conclave. I just think John Lithgow, as people have mentioned, it's John, not John. Who knows? Who knows? He'll never let us know. I think John Lithgow has the better shot, in my opinion. Jeremy Strong, some people are mentioning. Jeremy Strong. I just, once again, that film, even if I'm sure he's great in it, it's Jeremy Strong, just won a Tony. Once again, lots of recent Tony winners. He's a great actor. People say he's great in the film. Once again, that film is just like supporting actor is more competitive. Then there's more options for me to choose from here than there were in Best Actor. And also Sebastian Stan's playing Donald Trump, so I think that does boost him a little bit. I just don't feel confident enough in that film to put him in the top 5 right now. So that's why he's there. Another Jeremy Pope for the collaboration. Another Anthony McCartan potentially showy performance, but I don't once again feel confident enough about the film or know enough about its release strategy right now to put him in there. Scope McNairy, I thought I'd put in for Nightbitch in case. I'm pretty sure he's playing the husband character. I read the summary of the book. There's a few potential scenes that I could see being good for him, but I don't think he's going to have a huge role in it because he's absent for a lot of it. So it's an Amy Adams vehicle, so maybe he could be carried along, but I don't think so right now. Paul Raci for Sing Sing, I think most of the attention is going to go to Clarence Macklin. Mark Eidelstein for Honora. If Honora is like super, super strong, maybe. Just right now, I don't think it's going to be strong enough to get him in there. I'm excited to see his performance. I'm excited for the film in general. Harris Dickinson for Blitz. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there at this point, maybe. And then Javier Bardem for Dune Part 2. Because if there were, I guess, a Dune actor, I think it would be him over Austin Butler, to be honest. I think there's more respect. Javier Bardem gone for being the Ricardos. So I think, in my opinion, he's also more of like, he's in more of the film. He's the more likable character. I think and he's the veteran actor. I think if one were to get in, I would go with him over Austin Butler. But
Austin Butler's not happening. I don't know who concocted that, and I love Austin Butler.
Film Twitter really wants it to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep.
No.
So
any of these stand out?
No, I think the top 7 are the top 7.
Yeah, top 7, maybe Kieran Culkin. That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think
Kieran Culkin at the Independent Spirit Awards.
He'll definitely be there. Yeah. So those, I'll go through them all if you want to screen grab them and make fun of us. So yeah, those are our 2025 acting Oscar predictions. Thank you all for watching.
Very clear.
For June. So this will be fun to look back at March of next year and see how wrong we were. That's why it's fun doing it this early, because we're super.
When The Apprentice wins every single category, I
don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah. But even then, it will be mentioned. But yeah, those are our acting predictions. Did we miss anyone? I don't know if we did. We listed a lot of people, but if we missed anyone, please let us know.
Comment. The one that listen, I feel like I should be the one getting behind this, if anybody. So I'm surprised that I'm not, and there people are. A lot of people getting behind Cynthia Erivo, which I just don't see happening. It's a great character, of course, and it is a Tony-winning role, but I don't know. I feel like that's not what Wicked wants to be. I just don't see Wicked being an above-the-line player. I see it being it could be a big tech player, costumes, production design, if there's an original song, which I'm sure there is, visual effects, sound, even like that's where I think Wicked will thrive. I don't see Wicked being above the line, but again, Cynthia Erivo is a previous nominee, and it is a very emotional performance, and it will end on one of the highest notes, literally, of the year for an actor, because that is one of the great songs in modern pop culture. So, I mean, we should just mention it. But
true.
I just don't people's radars, but I don't see it happening.
I don't either. I'm sorry to you. I know you do. I don't have faith in that film materializing into a good movie personally, but we will see. We'll see when it releases in November. But yeah, that's why I didn't have her in there. I just think it's mostly a tech.
And Lady Gaga will suck up the musical.
Similar performance for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I think we've done it. So where can they find you on the internet, Anthony?
Oh, you can find me at Anthony_post. I'm on Twitter. You can also follow me on Letterboxd, where I'm very happy. My prayers have been answered. You can change backdrops. It was a very happy day for me when Letterboxd made that update. So you'll
look at Anthony's new backdrops.
Yes. I changed my La La Land backdrop, which means my homepage backdrop is different. So I'm very happy. So yeah, you can follow. Wow, that is the most cinephile thing to get excited about. The backdrops on Letterboxd.
It's a very exciting thing. So yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. Like the video, subscribe, comment your acting predictions for the Oscars down below. How different are we? Do you have Amy Adams winning? Are you on the nightbitch train now? Hop aboard. So yeah, thank you all for watching. rough like that Succession character, Hugo. Woof woof. Okay, we're ending the stream now. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in whatever video comes after this. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.